Think about someone you really believed in completely. Maybe someone who represented, I don't know, the absolute peak of their field, like a symbol of precision, right? And then, just like that, you watch their whole public image just crack. What happens when that trust you had just disappears? Well, that's pretty much what we're unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into a story that has absolutely rocked the sports world. It's centered on a player once called the NFL's most trusted kicker. Celebrated, really, for having the most accurate leg in NFL history, Justin Tucker. So, the news just broke recently. Tucker's been suspended. 10 games.
Yeah, a significant suspension.
But here's the thing that makes it so jarring. It's not for the usual stuff, Not PEDs, not gambling.
No, not the typical sports infractions we often hear about.
No, this suspension comes from a series of really shocking allegations, claims of sexual misconduct. And not just one or two, but from 16 massage therapists.
16, that's a staggering number.
And these alleged incidents reportedly happened between 2012 and 2016. Okay, so our mission, I guess, for this deep dive, we need to understand the silence around these alleged incidents. It's been nearly a decade since they supposedly started.
Right, a very long period of silence.
And explore why these accusations are only coming out now. What does this really mean? For trust, for accountability, and, for the whole idea of a public persona that might have been hiding something really disturbing underneath.
What's truly astonishing here is just how fast and completely this has shifted. Like you said, Tucker was the definition of reliability, precision on the field. He was, as the reports say, the man Baltimore trusted with the game on the line.
Absolutely, the guy you wanted out there.
And yet now we're looking at this long stretch, 2012 to 2016, where these alleged incidents were supposedly happening. Think about that timeline. Right in his prime years, when he was probably the league's most marketable kicker too.
And what's even more confusing, maybe, is the extra 4 years of silence after 2016, before any of this started to come out.
Right, that gap is also significant.
The NFL confirmed their investigation was, quote, lengthy and confidential.
Lengthy and confidential, which tells you something, but also not much detail.
Exactly. But the big question for us is still, how did these really troubling accusations stay hidden, or at least not public, for so long?
Well, it seems to be a powerful example of how change can finally break through. From what we understand, it started with one person, a single voice.
One therapist.
Yes, apparently one therapist reached out to an investigative reporter. And that one act, that sort of courage, it set off a chain reaction.
Okay.
Others heard about it, and they started coming forward too, each sharing a story that was reportedly eerily similar.
Wow.
And that collective action seems to be what pushed the NFL to launch its internal investigation. They brought in third-party experts, former law enforcement. It really shows how even after years where maybe institutions were silent, one voice, when it gets amplified, can empower others. It's a real shift in how these stories can emerge now.
And the Ravens, his team, they seem to have been completely blindsided, according to reports.
That was the word used, yes.
Their official statement was very careful, expressing shock, committing to respect the league's process.
Very standard crisis communication language.
But no strong denial from the team, no big defense of him, just kind of stepping back.
Distancing themselves, essentially.
And Tam himself, nothing. Radio silent. His agent put out a statement saying Tucker vehemently denies everything.
What you'd expect.
But the public damage, it feels like that's already done. It's immense.
And this brings up a really critical point, I think, about how these things work. We're talking about allegations within an NFL investigation, not criminal charges, right? Not yet, anyway.
Right, that's an important distinction.
We've seen reports mentioning no court case, no jury, just these internal probes, and likely non-disclosure agreements along the way.
Right.
Which, legally enforce silence.
Right. NDAs.
All of that contributes to this real lack of public transparency. And that makes the timeline and what the NFL did or didn't do even more critical to look at. It really makes you wonder, what did the league know? And maybe just as important, when did they know it?
Yeah, that's a chilling thought, isn't it? The reporting does suggest that if these accounts hold up, the NFL may have known parts of this for years.
That's the implication.
And it raises that really uncomfortable possibility that maybe without major public pressure, this just would have stayed buried. It sort of feeds into that theme we've seen before, unfortunately. The potential for a league to choose, image over accountability.
Especially with a star player.
Yeah. Here was a guy with this unbelievably squeaky clean reputation. He sang opera, for crying out loud.
Right, the contrast is stark.
Was that image just too perfect?
Yeah.
Too valuable for the league, for the team, to risk questioning it?
And I think this case feels particularly jarring for a lot of people, precisely because,
Yeah.
well, unlike some other high-profile scandals, all the signs are that Tucker had no history, no prior red flags.
Nothing, no whispers, no rumors before this broke.
Exactly. And that absence of any previous issues makes it so much harder for people to process. It's like finding out someone you held up as this model of integrity was maybe living a totally different hidden life all along.
Yeah.
We're already seeing the fallout, sponsors pulling back
Quickly.
very quickly, and the fans are really split. You see some demanding due process, innocent until proven guilty, but you see many others saying, look, 16 women, they don't just coordinate to make this up.
And the NFL isn't closing the book here. They were explicit. Additional discipline may follow.
That's a significant statement.
It's not just boilerplate language. It feels like a real warning. Like what we know now might not be the end of it.
It suggests the investigation might have uncovered more, or that other things could still come to light. It keeps the door open.
Yeah.
I mean, what's happening right now for Justin Tucker, it's nothing less than a complete collapse of a reputation.
Total collapse.
Here's a player who seemed untouchable. Now he's facing this incredibly uncertain future, career hanging by a thread, really.
Yeah.
And his legacy, irrevocably tarnished, regardless of what happens next, legally or professionally. This case just throws that difficult question into really sharp focus, doesn't it? Do major sports leagues truly prioritize holding people accountable? Or is the main goal still ultimately protecting the brand, preserving the public image?
So what does this all mean for you listening right now and for Justin Tucker? What actually happens to a guy who built his whole name, his entire career on precision, discipline, and trust when all three of those pillars just get ripped away suddenly, brutally? The NFL might say their investigation is done for now, but this story feels far from over to us. It really feels like maybe this is just the beginning of something much, much bigger.